here we are. I am standing out in the cold, trying to figure out what to say, and it's just getting colder. And since I'm in my flip-flops, I am just made myself push play so that I would just get on with something. So I'm going to say a couple things. One, I just wanted to give a shout out to a woman named Alicia, who is just a phenomenal massage therapist. She came today. I hadn't seen her in a couple of weeks, and I was just so grateful for my time with Alicia today. I have tried several different therapies. Many people ask me about, like, have you tried chiropractic and have you tried this and that? I actually even spent a little chunk of money on acupuncture a year ago. Probably had the wrong acupuncturist, even though I researched her and she was in an Emory building. It did not work for me. I also, my story with chiropractic is kind of sad because I actually tried chiropractic and then ended up having to have an emergency surgery. And then actually right before one of my last back fusion, I was so wanting to not have to have back surgery that I prayed and I looked for someone local that might be a chiropractor to look it over. And she looked at my MRI and said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you need surgery. So I know that my back and the way everything holds together in there is greatly challenged. But this massage therapy has really, really worked. So I thought I would, while I do believe the spiritual side of things is very imperative on how we hold ourselves together, I did want to confess to a few of these other therapies that I use because I think they're very helpful. So again, massage therapy has been big for me. If you live in this area and are interested in a good massage therapist, I have a name for you. So, private message me or something and I'll tell you. Two, I have tried a lot of different supplements through the time, and I do actually adhere somewhat to what they call the Mito cocktail. And they actually have a new thing called Spectrum Needs or Neuro Needs. It's a bunch of mitochondrial disease doctors went together and made a special concoction of all the mitochondrial needs. And so I've been taking this special new stuff that I'm hoping is kind of putting all the vitamins in that I need. And it's expensive though. I mean, some of this stuff is really expensive. The other thing I'm going to confess up to right here and now is CBD oil. I've become a believer in CBD oil. I order some through a website called Haley's Hope. And for any of you looking to try something, it does only have the 0.03 or 3%, I forget what it is, but it's legal, of the THC. You can't have too much THC per CBD oil. You have to have a certain balance of them to be legal. And this stuff in Colorado, it's a family that had a very sick child, and they went and worked really hard to make a new strain. And I just believe it gives me a little bit more energy. Honestly, I think I make it through some long days in a way that I used to not be able to. And I really do believe it's the CBD oil. I also believe this Neuro Needs specialty stuff is making a difference. But if you put it all together, that stuff gets expensive. It is not cheap to be sick. And so I'm grateful that I can teach the little that I continue to. But, realize that when you're looking at people who are dealing with chronic illness, that a lot of them are constantly thinking like, what else can I try? And a lot of them are also then just struggling to figure out, where do you put the money? That's a lot of it. Is at what point, where do I choose to put the money? Because it's a hard juggle to know. There's so many things out there and only so many dollars. So with that said, let's see, where else was I going to go tonight? I had a good day teaching. Wait a minute. I had a thought. I know I did, but I'm a little distracted. This is what it was. I wanted to say this about surgery. I wanted to say this. We've been talking a lot about thoughts and how we use our thoughts and how important it is to really be capturing them. I've heard that stuff all my life, take every thought captive for Christ. And sometimes even for me to say it, it feels trite, because there were times people said it to me and I felt like I just can't even, I don't know how to lasso this thought into behavior in a sense. And so I just want to say though, that little by little, if you're in a place where you don't know how to quite lasso your thoughts either, keep working on it. Don't give in, because every little moment counts. I had a woman tonight. I've got this she's about my age, and she's decided she wants to learn to play the piano, and I have so much respect for her. And so she's just been coming, and she's very enthusiastic, and she works, and yet she sits down at the piano, and I finally scolded her tonight. I said, you have to stop saying something every time you make a mistake. Because every time she made a mistake, she would grumble about herself, or, oh, I can't believe I did this. Oh, I can't believe. And it's like stressful for me. But I know she's wanting to do it so right that she just isn't. It's just there's this tension in it. And I said, look, you've got to stop that, because there's so much stress involved in you critiquing everything that you're doing, everything that you're saying, or she's not really saying, but every note that you're playing. If you hit the wrong note and you have to expound on it, it just breaks it for us. So I really challenged her tonight. I said, look, we're going to play this again. In fact, we have a recital, and she's wanted to be able to play in front of people. So this is her big thing. I'm doing a recital the day before my surgery. And so she wants to be able to be there and to play. But I've been telling her, like, you have to get to where we enjoy this, where you enjoy what you're doing, where this is not something that you're going to just berate yourself with every time you mess up. And honestly, I told her, beware. I need you to know that I can preach this to you, because if I point at you, there are 3 fingers pointing back at me, and I know that this is me. And I wanted to say that's partly why I love doing these videos the way I'm doing them, because it's like I can't edit them. My hair is not always fixed. My makeup's not always on. I'm not letting myself have too much time thinking about this, and yet I'm trying to say that, hey, the Jesus in me has something that I want to keep offering hope out there without feeling like it has to be perfect. And I do think that sometimes, even in the church, we have so boxed ourselves into a corner of, I have to get it right, I have to get it perfect, or these negative tension thoughts come busting out and kind of stymie progress. So I just really want to encourage you today that to learn to keep working on that self-talk. And I almost feel so silly saying it, because Don used to tell me, Susan, you have such negative self-thought. Would you stop? And I just get frustrated with them. And yet the truth is, I'm getting healthier from where I was at the Great Undoing to the place that I can capture more thoughts. It's almost like some of the big rocks are out. Some of the more negative, heavy stuff is out. And so I'm able to fine tune and weave my way into the smaller parts of, or the little thoughts that I used to think don't matter, and yet they do. Is God bigger than what you're facing? Is His joy big enough to be in this moment with you? And that's what it's all about. It's kind of learning to think our way into recognizing that things that we have been trained to believe are stressful and have to have a stressful tension emotion with them, they don't always need that. In fact, I'm learning to go, half the time that energy that on the one hand maybe sometimes does get something done, on the other hand, it's such a drain. It's so much energy in kind of a worrying side that it just makes what I'm doing almost 2 times harder. It requires more emotional energy than perhaps really needs to be invested in the things that I'm doing. So, one of the little games, I'll end with this, that I'm playing, that I play when I go to surgery. Because if I think about too much about the fact they're actually going to go through my abdominal, I'm going to have a whole new scar. And it's going to swell right there in my belly where I don't want it to be swollen. You know how that's going to be? I'm going to look real cute. And probably already could use to lose at least 10, if not 20 pounds if I were going to go on the skinnier side. But I've given up on that for now. But they're going to take out all my insides to reach my back. I mean, somebody was saying we ought to get them to take a picture of, whatever it is they take out laying on the table there. And then they're going to put them all back in, and let's hope they keep it clean and all that stuff. It can get monumental thinking about some of these things. But I love almost trying to turn an operating room into a cartoon. It's just that simple. It is no big deal to God. Nothing in that operating room, nothing that's going to happen is beyond His reach. Nothing is too big for him. And if I let myself get to where, oh, this is so big, it's a back fusion, can you believe it's my third back surgery? You know, if I start down that road, it's like it's this, it just builds on itself into this negative realm. And so I've had to learn to back up and go, hey, you know what? Trees are just bushes to God. What I think are bushes, you know, what seems big to me is nothing to him. The operating room is nothing to him. What they're going to do to me is nothing to him. And I'm sure there's a lot of times he's watching me do this negative self-talk saying, would you just stop? Hey, just breathe for a minute and value what you got done today. Would you practice valuing what I'm doing through you? And allow yourself to feel that kind of self-acceptance. And maybe it's really just more the beauty of him wanting to say, hey, I want you to enjoy that I made you. That I made you right who you are, Miss Weird, Odd Conundrum of a Medical Mystery. It's okay. So, if I'm okay, you're okay in Jesus. And that's really what it comes down to, is our confidence in that he has done a work on the cross. That means my life counts, my life matters, my life has purpose, and yet can rest in the eternal perspective that he's working it out. So anyway, there. I love you guys. Appreciate you tuning in tonight and just hanging with me. I don't know if I ever said, I think today is day 16. So here we go, day 16. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow.